If you exercise this heart-centered practice daily, then in 2023 it will help you to hold your vibration high and balanced. Now, a lot of our experience has to do with our perception. So how to have a balanced approach regarding our perception? I know at least two ways. The first one is what I call a neutrality. No matter what happens, either it's negative in nature or positive, the person stays neutral. For example, something bad happens, the person doesn't fall in a panic mode because he or she knows that it will pass and next things will come after that in life, and it always balances out. Or if something positive happens, the person also doesn't fall in euphoria because he or she knows that there's already next developments following and aligned to that positive experience or occurrence that happened. So the person stays neutral. It's not to fall really in a negative or super high positive perceptual state. It's just, it is what it is. To my understanding, neutrality is recognition that there is permanence of impermanent nature in life, that it always and constantly changes, and we have to adapt. And it requires a good amount of mastery to be able to live like that. The second way is gratitude. In this video I'm going to speak more about the second way, the gratitude, the practice of being grateful. It's very powerful practice. It helps us to stay balanced and sane in times of turbulence, when globally we can see that all kinds of insanity is manifesting over our eyes. Gratitude is a very strong reminder for us that there is actually a lot of things to be grateful despite what's happening in other parts of the world, internationally, or also locally, in our own environment, not that far away from us. So we don't get pulled into this repeating negative cycle of thinking and viewing and perceiving reality, which in many cases is a very untrue and incomplete picture. It's very distorted, and it brings people in victim mode, reactivity, when in actuality the whole picture is a lot bigger and more whole than a lot of us are at times able to perceive. A lot of times what we perceive as limitations initially actually brings us opportunity for growth, for expansion. Gratitude is more expanded consciousness beyond our limited egoic sense of I, the false sense of small I. And in times of insanity in this world, we can still be grateful many of us have access on a daily basis to many, many things that ease our daily lives. We have food, we have roof over our heads, warmth, clothes, transport, electricity, internet, information, knowledge, skills, also support from others. And these are just few things that I named, but there are many, many more. Gratitude allows us to see positive trajectory from seemingly bad situation. The trajectory of growth and development with all the hardships and obstacles and limitations that you have had regarding certain experience, conditions, situation. Ask yourself, if there has a positive potential in that. And you can also look back if something unwanted happened to you. Has anything good occurred out from that? Maybe a valuable life lesson for you, a great realization, more awakening, more awareness regarding specific aspects about your life, about yourself, maybe a change of behavior or attitude in you regards something in your life. Gratitude is ultimately about awareness. When something happens in our lives that we immediately feel resistance and we want to name that experience or situation as unwanted, that's just on a surface level. And in that moment, if we are aware that we have this negative perception of situation, or we have resistance to accept what's unfolding, it's very valuable to ask question, why do you have such thoughts, feelings and emotions about this happening? This will uncover valuable information for you. And then you can possibly see it in a different light. By it I mean this situation or experience that you're having in a more beneficial, in a more empowering way, that you can also do something about it, and it's not just all about victim mentality that there is nothing I can do. And there are sometimes things in life then you cannot do anything about it, at least in that moment. Then you recognize that and okay, what I can do, something else besides that. You leave that alone and you focus on something else. Gratitude can also be found retrospectively. The truth is that where we are right now is often not as bad as it could be. And a lot of times, if we want to complain, we don't even realize that how fortunate we are in this moment. Especially if something happened in the past that could turn out a lot worse. Many of us have had multiple experiences that we were fortunate enough, or lucky, if you want to say lucky enough, to get away with barely no harm at all or no consequences out of that. Even though if we look back at that specific experience, we know that it could end very well for us, lethally, even lethally. So we can be very grateful for that, that somehow we came out of this experience alive, healthy. It's almost like divine powers protected us, and we had this protection. We had and we have this protection. So there is gratitude also about that. We can, of course, look back at certain situations and experiences that we had. Many of them we initially perceived with resistance, but when time goes by, we are able to see that actually it was here for us to either awaken from something, some illusions, or help us to develop in a more healthy individual. Gratitude now instead of later. There is a false ego promise or premise that when the egoic I, achieves, gets something, becomes that, and that possesses something, then that egoic I will feel gratitude, will feel fulfillment, happiness, and so on. And that lasts for a very brief moment of time. And it ends quickly. And then again, there is a new lack of fulfillment. It's because we base our fulfillment, our gratitude on external source, that of certain outcome. You're attached to certain result. And it's very limiting. Far greater feeling or sense of gratitude comes from within our inner world. Our generated feeling is far more powerful than when we achieve something externally and then we feel it for a short period of time, and then it passes by like it didn't even happen and matter. And then if we are attached to external outcome, then we have to find another achievement, another satisfying result, which will bring us again this short satisfaction, which will again leave us shortly after that. So, being grateful now instead of some future when we will realize, and if we will realize, our goals is more important. Because if and when we realize is conditional gratitude, same with conditional love, which is not stable, not permanent in nature, very unstable, can cause also suffering. We can be grateful for what we already have now, in the present moment. We don't have to wait or condition ourselves or promise ourselves that we can feel only gratitude in future when we do or achieve specific things. We can be grateful now for a lot of things. We can appreciate things that are not separated from the whole global picture, what's happening in the world, because we are not separated from it. Appreciation lifts our state of being and spirit in the now. We feel more optimistic, we feel more confident, safe, powerful, protected, loved. When we feel grateful, we naturally want to give more because we have this feeling that we have already enough. We want to give more. And if we give more, we naturally receive more. Feeling grateful in the now is a healthy state of being that facilitates even more positive momentum, more inertia, resulting in our life. There are times when people feel entitled and take things for granted, undervaluing some things or not viewing them as significant enough, and or until they disappear from their lives, then the significance usually increases again, and people become aware that, oh, actually I value that things more that are no longer in my life. That's a paradox. If there are things that we sometimes perceive as insignificant or small or not worth paying attention to, it only means that we have separated ourselves from them, ourselves from life, because those things that we perceive as insignificant, they are life, and life is us. And we seem entitled that, obviously, I should have that unconditionally. It's like this expectation. And suddenly when that thing is not being experienced anymore or for some time, then what happened? Because life exists of, if we want to use the term, the small mundane things, but actually that's just a very subjective term to use, because if we use such term, then again we kinda see life as fragmented, and these things separated from life, even though in actuality they are not separated from life. And ultimately, we are not separated from life. We don't have life. We are life. We are one with life. And we are one with these things. The more you start to appreciate your life and various aspects of it and moments of it, the more you will start to feel more connection to the wholeness of life. The example is that, for example, I go in nature and I see this beautiful tree, and I have this genuine appreciation for that tree, And I'm really happy that to see that tree being in its presence. And at that moment, I sometimes feel this very strong feeling in my heart, and it's like a volcano wants to erupt, and this eruption is so powerful that sometimes I have tears in my eyes. It's not tears of sadness, but tears of joy, that I recognize beauty in the other, that is tree. And there is also realization when I recognize and I appreciate the other things in life, for example, a tree or a plant or an animal, I feel this strong energetic link to that other thing. And the more I appreciate the other, it's like I also appreciate myself, because I am one with that other that I am appreciating. We are one. We are one consciousness, having different experiences, different perspectives. So that's very beautiful, almost surreal feeling what gratitude can bring you in this moment. Most people are conditioned to live in fear-based survival mode. And gratitude is a heart-centered practice, and it can balance that out. How can we do that? It's okay if at first, when you start practicing gratitude, you don't feel it right away in your heart. Actually, we do feel, but our sensitivity or our perception of feelings have not as strong as it used to be. It's a little bit closed. If you don't feel it initially in your heart right away, that's okay. What you can do first is you can start by thinking about things that naturally come to you, not forceful, but naturally things that you can recognize and appreciate in your life, that, oh yeah, I am grateful for that. Yes, thank God I have that. Or it's so nice to have that. I'm grateful for that. It doesn't have to be this super duper big thing, but all the so-called small things, sometimes we want to deem as not so significant, even undervalue. They are significant, because all things, no matter how big or small, they combined form what we call life. They are not separated from our life. You can also write down, if that helps for you, a list, or you can also visualize what would bring you gratitude, or you can remember some good moments that has happened to you. It also brings you gratitude that happened. And it brings this feeling of gratitude in the now. Often when I practice gratitude consciously, I can feel that the energy in my heart center is very rapidly activating, and I can feel this very strong sensation, this I wouldn't even say tingling, but far stronger than that. And energy, when it activates in heart, it expands like a wave, and it goes through all my body, and out of body, further away, outside of my aura. And I often like to, not often, but sometimes I like to do what I call these appreciation rants, when I notice one or a couple things that I'm grateful for, and then it naturally turns into more things that follow, that I feel gratitude towards in that moment. It's like a freight train. It's like a momentum is forming. I start with one or couple things, and then the next one comes, and next one, and next one, and next one, and next one, and then I feel gratitude for the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And it can really lift you powerfully. And also, I've noticed sometimes when I, not sometimes, but often when I speak out loud what I'm grateful for, what I'm thankful for, it also triggers or activates this, my heart center, energy in my heart center. And then it's like, whoa, massages my whole body. Rushes through all my body, this energy expands from heart outside to all parts of my body, and that is a strong indication that our heart is active, and it's heart-centered practice. And as I said, even if you don't feel it immediately in your heart or your heart expanding, you can start mentally, and over time you will start to feel it more in your heart, or you will become more aware of that feeling in your heart. That's what happened to me. I also didn't feel it right away in my heart, or consciously was not aware of it in my heart. By practicing, it came more and more. Have a grateful 2023.